Hi Abhishek, good to have you on the show. Let's begin by discussing the changes that have happened in the Karnataka guidance value as well. I think this was something which was in the works for a bit, but tell me what will be the impact on the ground, if at all, and for yourself as well?
On the show. So essentially, the increase in guidance value will have impact on cost of approvals and also on cost of TDR, along with, of course, the cost of stamp duty. So there will be obviously an impact across the industry on these costs for developers. On the customer side, obviously, as long as there's no unaccounted money involved, most of the trading has been happening or buying has been happening at market values, which are almost, which will kind of get matched as far as the guideline value is concerned. So as long as that is happening, I think there will be no impact on the customer side other than these costs which will get passed on to the customer. So we'll see some amount of incremental costs that will get passed on to the customers and hence increase in prices. Having said that, as far as Purvankara is concerned, fortunately for us in Karnataka, we are, we have reached a stage where we have almost all the approvals, so we are not impacted much on account of these increase in guideline value. But having said that, going forward, we should be mindful of the cost that will be when we are underwriting new acquisitions.
Sure, no, Abhishek, point taken. But given the fact you're talking about that the cost for developers might increase and there might be a bit of pass through to the customers as well, do you think the demand is strong enough to take that pricing increase?
Oh yeah, very sure about that. We have seen significant demand. I mean, if you look at the numbers across Bangalore or across Karnataka, in fact, most of the country right now, you're seeing very good numbers happen. So I don't think there is any issue there. In fact, there is a shortage of supply. It's up to us how much supply we can bring to the market at this point in time. So if you look at the inventory, it's down to 8-9 months as far as Bangalore is concerned, for example. And everywhere across the country, it's less than 12 months. So I don't see that as a challenge. Price, I think, should be able to absorb this increment.
Well, one thing I wanted to understand from you, the way, of course, we all know that real estate cycle is reversing after a 10-year lull. But if I just in your region, Karnataka or Bangalore, around Bangalore, I want to understand how has been the price rise last 4-5 years already. 10% kind of price rise already happened or lower?
Look, if you look at average price realization through COVID and later, of course, it was kind of plateaued for a very long time. So in real terms, actually, there was a price correction over a period of time. Now, post-COVID, we have seen price appreciation, and that's been anywhere between 10 to 12% on an annualized basis. And I think that is a very reasonable number, given that for the longest period of time on real basis, the prices were not appreciating. But having said that, I think what's very important is to see that any project that you look at priced at the launch and by the time it gets completed, typically you would see a 50-60% price increase that always happens across the board. So, it depends on how you look at, pricing. So ready to move in inventory versus a new launch, obviously there's a gap and there is a price change that happens between the two. So keeping that in mind, I think average realization has gone up by about 10 to 12%. And we see that at this point in time trend continuing.
So, there is always the premium of ready inventory or the visibility of, possession actually gets the price also slightly moving higher, and new launch, of course, is slightly at a discount. But I want to understand that for the next 5 years, do you think a reasonable high single digit appreciation visibility exists in your region? Also, I want to understand how much is the ready inventory there, especially for the premium side. Because we've seen in the past that around the bulk, the last quartile is when the bulk of the entire industry starts launching stuff. Right now, is there a balance?
Oh yeah, so that's a very good question. If you look at the current situation, you're down to less than 9 months of inventory in the market. So, and if you look at ready to move in inventory, I don't think there is any ready to move in inventory available in the market. And that's the biggest challenge. As I mentioned earlier in the conversation, I think it's about how much supply you can bring into the market at this point in time. Fortunately, unfortunately, the number of developers due to consolidation has also significantly come down. So, it's not that there are larger number of players who are bringing supply to the market. And, this obviously is strengthening the brands, larger brands to, take away more and more market share. So the way I see it at this point in time, I think especially South, so definitely it's one of the most stable markets. And a increase of high single digits is definitely something that you can bank upon in most of the projects across the southern region. And it's driven by end users, so it's not a speculative demand which is driven by investors. So you don't see a significantly high mid-teen kind of appreciation and then a drop and things like that. You see a consistent demand, consistent supply, and a consistent appreciation of prices in these markets. So I think that trend will definitely continue. It's just a matter of how much supply the markets brings in, and we'll have to wait and watch. But I think at this point in time, I don't see that as a challenge at all. For next at least 2 to 3 years, 5 years is a longer period of time, but I would say next 2 years, I definitely don't see that as a challenge.
On that note, we'll let you go. So, all hunky-dory as far as the Bangalore market is concerned. We'd love to chat with you about what's happening in Pune and other regions of Maharashtra as well, but that we'll keep it for a later date. Let's try and understand